Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Basketball Conference, the ACC Football Podcast. My name's Joey Weaver. He's Mike McDaniel. Mike, week one is effectively in the books. How you doing? You want to talk about some games?
Officially, as of 15 seconds ago.
Oh, well, there
officially
you go.
In the books.
There you go.
So,
timely podcasting, as always.
We got an award to give out to North Carolina later, I'll tell you.
Yeah. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you will never be able to guess which award they're going to get tonight. We had a very busy week one in the ACC. And honestly, Mike, I would say a very successful week one for the ACC. I mean, there was really only kind of one spot where it was really kind of not a great look maybe for the team, maybe two of them if I'm looking at this. But like, I don't think anyone really got truly embarrassed. I think there were a couple of really marquee wins at the top. I think you got to feel pretty good about how things went for the ACC, all things considered. And obviously, you know, we'll get to your Hokies in a little bit, but like all things considered.
Hey, man, stock up in the state of Florida.
That's right.
I would say. My Hokies didn't. I mean, look, 9 points of offense isn't great, but there were some good stuff between the 20s. It was just kind of red zone stuff was a disaster. That's fine. And then, some bright spots across the conference. Cal we'll get into Cal. They look like they have a quarterback. We'll work on pronouncing his name. That's something I've been practicing this evening, Joey, before we hit record. Had a little gap between the two podcasts. I decided I was going to try to practice pronouncing the Cal quarterback's name, Sagapalatelli, which less Italian, more Hawaiian. I'm still working on that, but you know.
I'm going to leave the attempts on that name to you. I'm just not even going to try, frankly. I have no faith in myself. Mike, we are live, youtube.com/@the-ACC Football Podcast. It is going on 11:30 on the East Coast on Monday night, Labor Day, September the 1st. We got a few folks in the chat with us already. Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. I know it's late on a school night, but we are excited to go through these games with you. Mike, do we want to start out with a classic Rhoback rapid recap?
I think we have to. No Scott tonight, by the way. He's recovering from a bachelor party weekend. Not for him, for somebody else. So
recovering from various self-inflicted wounds, we'll say.
That's what we'll call it.
The Rhoback rapid recap, of course, use promo code GOACC20 at checkout for 20% off your first order at Rhoback.com. All sorts of wonderful polos, T-shirts, shorts, activewear. They've got quarter zips. They've got the campus collection, college collection, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Super high quality stuff for most of the programs in the ACC these days. Really cool shirts, really high quality. I love mine. Mike, I think you love yours too.
I do. Wore one out on the golf course this afternoon. I have a growing collection of Rhoback polos, which I've always had some of their pullovers and sweatshirts, stuff like that. But the golf polo game is growing exponentially since they started sponsoring this podcast. So shout out Rhoback.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Once again, go ACC20 at checkout for 20% off your first order at Rhoback.com. Mike, Rhoback rapid recap, shall we?
Take it from the top, baby.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Florida State 31, number 8 Alabama 17. Holy hell. They said there was a 14-point spread in this game. I didn't realize they had it in the wrong direction, Mike.
Yeah, we had it in the wrong direction. I locked this game up. Whoops.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. Should not have done that. Florida State's front, really, really good. Had Alabama's offensive line in hell. Quarterback play, Tommy Castellanos, very good. I've been incredibly critical of him because, I gave him a lot of shit when he was at Boston College. But you know what? Played really well here. And, defensively really got after Alabama. That was the story of the game, in my opinion. So, yeah, big time win.
Yeah, the demise of Florida State and Tommy Castellanos and Gus Malzahn et al. Might have been a little bit exaggerated and a little bit premature because that whole team honestly looked pretty fantastic that entire game. I think they gave up a touchdown to Alabama on the opening drive and gave up 10 points the rest of the way. The defense was all over Alabama's offense all afternoon. Very, very impressed with the Seminoles. Let's stay in the state of Florida. Number 10, Miami, 27. Number 6, Notre Dame, 24. Speaking of looking better than I expected them to, Miami, wow, very impressed. Very good outing to start the year from Carson Beck. The defense, there was a point kind of through the early fourth quarter that they really kind of started letting Notre Dame get some momentum going on offense, but showed up at the end when they really needed it. Had them absolutely in a blender in the first half. Really good showing from Miami. Got an upset win at home in front of God and everyone. I mean, great showing from them, I thought.
Yeah, unbelievable offensive line play. Thought the defense much improved, which not a huge surprise, right? With Heatherman coming over from Minnesota. So, yeah, much improved defense. I was surprised to see it maybe that good so quickly. I think Notre Dame really struggled to get things going. They totally forgot that the best running back in college football is on their team, and they just forgot to hand it to him for a good just a puzzling game plan for Notre Dame. With all that said, Carson Beck protection was really good, and it turns out Miami's offensive line they got this year much better, it appears, than the Georgia offensive line that he was playing behind a year ago. That I will say. Unbelievable touchdown catch in this game by CJ Daniels. Just an absurd catch.
Catch of the year candidate.
Yeah, and I'm not sure it's going to be beaten. That was right before halftime. That proved to be a pretty important score in the game.
Saved an interception at the time too, by the way.
Yeah, saved an interception. Notre Dame's defense, they played okay, but they looked a little bit back on their heels. A little bit scared to pressure Carson Beck, and I think a lot of that has to do with the respect of the Miami offensive line. They really could get pressure on him all night. So, yeah, really impressive win for Miami here to start the year. I think Notre Dame will be fine, by the way. Like, I'm not too concerned. I think both these teams are very good. So,
yeah, they were both impressive. That could easily be two playoff teams that we watched Sunday night there. Number 9, LSU, 17. Number 4, Clemson, 10. Clemson's defense looked excellent. Very good. Yeah. Clemson's offense, some things they got to work out.
Defense obviously kept them in it. They were obviously leading this game at halftime, and then things started slipping away a bit. I thought Garrett Nussmeier was the best quarterback in the game out of the two. I thought Klubnik struggled a bit. And yeah, Clemson's still got an issue when it comes to playing top-fledged competition here that they got to figure out. We'll get into it more here in a few minutes.
Georgia Tech 27, Colorado 20 on Friday night. Absolutely catastrophic first 10 minutes for Georgia Tech, and then a really good final 50 minutes for them. Winning by 7 in a game where they're -3 in turnover margin is pretty convincing. Pretty happy with how that went. Couldn't have asked for a whole lot more, I guess, to start the year, at least from an outcomes standpoint, but certainly some things to clean up on the how standpoint.
I think the better team won the game, but was certainly a sweat fest.
A little more sweaty than it had to be, that's for sure.
Yep.
Number 24, Tennessee, 45, Syracuse, 26. Gotta be honest, Syracuse kind of hung here, and they were covering with less than 5 minutes to go. Like, found a way to stick around, didn't get totally embarrassed here, but obviously kind of saw what we were concerned about in the preview of Tennessee schematically and somewhat talent-wise. Like, just way too good for Syracuse to win this game.
Yeah, like Tennessee, really good first quarter, and I was like, oh man, Syracuse is getting blown out of the stadium here. And then they just kind of kept hanging around. I was actually watching the game with a buddy of mine whose wife went to Tennessee. And you know, we had this game on after we had played golf Saturday morning, and he was like, I'm happy with this performance, but it'd be really great if they actually just stepped on their throat. And yeah, he was getting he wasn't nervous, but he was like, man, this is dragging on a little bit longer than I wanted in the second half. So I think it's a little bit of credit to Syracuse for not going away. But yeah, good win for Tennessee to start the year. And Syracuse, I mean, it's hard to glean too much from this. I thought Steve Angeli played okay. So I think they'll probably be fine moving forward in terms of when they get back on the field against comparable talent. But yeah, this was not it. They were at a talent disadvantage here.
Absolutely. Number 13, South Carolina 24, your Virginia Tech Hokies, Mike 11. That was Sunday afternoon. A bit of a similar situation with Clemson. I felt like defense looked excellent for me for the Hokies and game one under new leadership. Offense, not as much. Kyron Drones especially had a tough afternoon, struggles finishing drives on offense. Things to clean up on offense, to say the least.
Yeah, things to clean up. Some bright spots at receiver, also some really dumb stuff, drops, stupid penalties, you name it. Drones did not, I mean, that was his worst outing as Virginia Tech starting quarterback. He was missing layups, like easy throws out of the backfield, missing guys in the flat, just uncharacteristically bad from drones. But yeah, overall, very happy with the defense. And Virginia Tech had a legitimate shot to win this game. It never felt like they were going to, but because of how poorly the offense played. But I mean, they hung around. Defense was really good. So that was encouraging.
Yep, absolutely. Something to build on there for sure. We just finished the end of this game. TCU 48, UNC 14. Man, Carolina was riding real high about 6 minutes into this game.
Yeah.
We're talking playoff. We're talking, national title hopes. Belichick adding another ring to the finger, the whole thing. How'd it go after that, Mike?
Yeah, not great. Some turnovers that turned into touchdowns here. TCU was the better team. This got away from Carolina in a way that I'm not sure it gets away from them in like 7 or 8 out of 10 iterations of this game. But TCU was definitely the better team here by like at least 2 scores.
Yeah. Carolina going to be a fascinating team to watch, I think, in the ACC this year as they develop and we try to figure out what they are or are not, which is right now very much a fluid situation. So we will keep an eye on that.
TCU could be very good. We'll find out. They've overhauled talent. They could be very good, but man, that Carolina did not look too awe-inspiring after the first drive of the game.
Completely agreed. Let's quickly go through the rest here, Mike. NC State 24, ECU 17. This is a game that NC State got out to a big lead early in this game and then kind of parked the bus and somewhat let ECU get back into. And the Wolfpack hold on for the win, but the Pirates made it a little bit interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. East Carolina driving down to score late. NC State got a stop on a 4th and 1 play late in regulation to seal it. That very, very tightly contested game after NC State looked like the better team for a good portion of at least the first half. And then, East Carolina started clawing back in. It was very interesting to watch second half and see how East Carolina battled back there.
CJ Bailey had some really impressive throws and moments in that first half, especially. We'll get to that here in a minute.
Yep.
Duke 45, Elon 17. This game was tied at halftime. Duke ends up pulling away in the second half, but so, all's well that ends well, but certainly would have liked to get a little bit more separation early if you're a Duke team that has some high aspirations this year.
Yeah, Duke couldn't run on Elon. That's what the story should be here. Gary Mensah really, really good. So quarterback play definitely upgraded, but concerned about the running game.
100%. Wake Forest 10, Kennesaw State 9. The Deeks win.
They're going to be so bad.
Didn't lose, but they were in a missed extra point from Kennesaw State away from this game going to overtime. That's not a particularly good Kennesaw State team. You hope this is the low point for Wake, but we'll see what happens this year.
Yeah, might be a long year in Winston-Salem.
It might be. Number 16, SMU 42, East Texas A&M 13, Pitt 61, Duquesne 9, Boston College 66, Fordham 10, Louisville 51, Eastern Kentucky 17. Anything of note in these games, Mike?
Nope. Status quo.
Pass. Virginia 48, Coastal Carolina 7. Hello. We might have something in Charlottesville here, Mike.
I apologize to Scott for his producer's pick of the week. Joey, you and I were right. Coastal might be some ass.
It's nice having a lock come in for once. That's all I'll say. There we go. We're almost there.
Overtime.
I guess we only got one more. Cal 34, Oregon State 15. Speaking of teams whose demise might have been a little bit prematurely predicted at least, Cal might have something at quarterback, Mike.
Jaron Kiawe Sagapalitele.
I'm going to go 8 out of 10 on that one.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It was better than my first attempt. 234, 3 touchdowns, made some big time throws. The group chat was popping this weekend. The group chat was popping with highlights of his game. He was electric.
Gunslinger. Looked really good. We'll talk about him a little bit more here in a minute. Mike, I think that's it. Did I forget anything?
Former Duke quarterback Malik Murphy looked okay for Oregon State in this one, but they really just had trouble finishing drives. We'll get into that.
100%. Once again, that was your Rhoback Rapid Recap. Use promo code GOACC20 at checkout for 20% off your first order at Rhoback.com. All sorts of wonderful performance wear. Highly recommended. Hit that game day collection. All sorts of good things there. Mike, where do we start?
Let's talk about your team first.
Sure.
Let's get that. This was an interesting one.
It was Georgia Tech 27, Colorado 20. As I mentioned before, the broadcast made a deal about how Georgia Tech turned the ball over on offense 10 times all of the 2024 season. They turned the ball over 3 times on the first 3 possessions of the 2025 season. So that was really great and going well. Colorado gets the ball on the first turnover. That was a botched read option kind of handoff situation between Haynes King, Jamal Haynes. They go down, they score a touchdown. The next 2 turnovers is a bad snap and then kind of a weird interception where a defender was around Haynes King's knee and he kind of threw off balance and was, just off target. From that point, Colorado, if I'm not mistaken, 3 and out and 3 and out. So credit to the Georgia Tech defense. They had a lot of good moments in this game. I did think that there were some big opportunities that Colorado had that they just sort of missed, where Caden Salter just missed on a throw or there were passes that were dropped. So there was some sloppiness from Colorado's offense where they had opportunities to do a little bit more than they did. But credit to Georgia Tech, ran the hell out of the ball, 320 yards and 3 scores on the ground. All 3 scores from Haynes King, who went for over 150 yards, including the game-sealing 45-yard touchdown run there late. Jamal Haynes had some good moments. I mean, this is a hell of a way for Georgia Tech to start just staring in the face of adversity right off the, right out of the gate and to fight their way back. So things, again, obviously things to clean up here, Mike, but all in all, I got to be pretty happy with what I saw and the way that they fought at elevation and just everything else on Friday night.
That elevation will get after you. I thought the defense was pretty solid, especially against Colorado. Colorado was trying to establish a run in this game, and Georgia Tech just really didn't let them. I mean, there were some runs here and there, but I was impressed by Georgia Tech's rushing defense. They contained Caden Salter in the passing game, which, he's a little bit of a mixed bag throwing the football. But they, outside the 1 touchdown run he had, I mean, they were pretty good at keeping him confined to the pocket, defensively. So it was pretty clear it was sell out against the run and try to make him throw to beat you, which, I don't think anybody would look at Salter's numbers or just watch the game and think that, his arm was the reason why Colorado was still in this game. Mm-hmm. Georgia Tech, in my opinion, was a much better team here. I think they did this to themselves. There was a text that went in our group chat. Scott said that Georgia Tech should be up multiple scores, and he got them at +1.5 after they turned it over a third time, which was a very good bet. And I was in total agreement. I think Georgia Tech was a much better team. I think obviously turnovers kept Colorado in it early, and this was a dogfight. Obviously, Georgia Tech had trouble getting that decisive score to take the lead, but then once they did, I mean, that Haynes King run was unbelievable. I was very impressed with him in the running game and the decisions he was making as a runner, which normally good, but was very good in this game. Mm-hmm. And wasn't in a position where he had to throw it a bunch, only 20 passing attempts here. I thought he was relatively efficient throwing the football, and interested to see if there is a team on the schedule at some point that could slow down Georgia Tech's rushing attack. You make Haynes King put the ball in the air a little bit more. What does the passing attack look like? I didn't get a real good feel for that in this game, with the exception of, some big plays here or there. So interested in that for the future, but a pretty encouraging first game, I think, to kick off the year.
Yeah. I do want to bring something up. Nuke Jacket puts in the comments, need the vertical passing game to get there. I think one of the reasons you weren't seeing that in this game from Georgia Tech was that Colorado's defensive line was kind of eating Georgia Tech's offensive line for lunch, at least in the pass rush kind of situations. They were having some problems in protection. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on moving forward. I know there's been a couple of changeovers on that offensive line. They were pretty good about it last year, but they got to get better about it this year versus what we saw on Friday night. But yeah, I mean, a lot to like. As mentioned, I mean, there was also some game management stuff from Dion of didn't call a couple timeouts at the end, didn't really make sense. Just a couple of fourth downs I probably thought he could have, should have gone for that he didn't. Some game mismanagement stuff, we'll say, from Colorado that they did Georgia Tech some favors in this game. So, there was a lot of this that was very encouraging, but there's a lot of this where this this could have gone pretty differently. If a few things had gone just a little bit differently for Colorado. So, I definitely don't want to write them off. I mean, I think that, again, they might be a different kind of team this year than they have been the last couple of years in terms of just offensive schematics and that kind of thing. And obviously some of the players have turned over, but they might still be a solid team this year. We'll have to kind of see how they develop through the year, because they definitely put up a fight against what should be, what we think should be a pretty decent and solid Georgia Tech team.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to be bad Colorado or something. I think it's going to be somewhere between what they were last year and what they were in year one under Dion, which is kind of not very good, but feisty. I think this is certainly a team that could win 7 or 8, especially the Big 12 is wide open, and I think they have a chance to put things together as the year rolls along. So,
yep, 100%. Last thing I'll say here is that, for what it's worth, this win was not fluky for Georgia Tech. If you look at the Bill Connolly's SP Plus, the post-game win expectancy, had it at 98.2%. So if you just look at a play-by-play, the way that they were able to gain yards and prevent yards, Georgia Tech was relatively dominant in this game, and kind of the only thing that, in theory, kept Colorado in it was some of those turnovers. So,
right,
which are a little bit fluky, luck-based, that kind of thing. So we will see how these teams continue to develop as the season goes on. Anything else before we move on, Mike?
No, good.
Georgia Tech 20, Georgia Tech 27, Colorado 20. And Mike, I don't know if you noticed that I am not wearing my Section 103 polo tonight. That's because as I was watching this game, I was at a steakhouse with some buddies in Kansas City. I was wearing that polo at that steakhouse. It looked great. And the people in the steakhouse in Kansas City and various other, establishments around Kansas City that we went to afterwards, they learned a lot about Section 103 that night. Go to section103.com. Use promo code GOACC for 10% off your first order. They just dropped, again, a line of polos that are fantastic. They are comfortable. They look phenomenal. Steven really did a great job on it. They've also got a bunch of T-shirts. They've got sweatshirts, hoodies, things for men, women, children, babies, something for the whole family, the official word marks, the official Tech gold, anything you can look for in any Georgia Tech apparel that you're looking for. Go get it all, section103.com. Once again, use promo code GOACC at checkout for 10% off your first order. Highly recommended. Appreciate Steven and the gang for their support. They've got some new shirts dropping too, by the way. So keep an eye on their social medias. You'll find out when new shirts drop. Or, if they got polos that run out of stock because everyone loves them so much, keep an eye at section103.com, or excuse me, at section103 on Instagram to find out more on when new stuff's going to drop.
Yep. A lot of good stuff.
Shout out to Steven and the gang. Appreciate their support. Where to next here, Mike?
Florida State 31, number 8 Alabama 17. And man, I know nationally the storyline is, okay, what happened to Alabama? But Florida State here was really freaking impressive, man.
Yes, they were. Very impressive.
Pass rush was really good. They had Ty Simpson in hell. They bottled up the Alabama rushing attack. And Alabama looked slow defensively, which I don't know. We'll find out soon if that says more about Alabama or more about Florida State. But, man, Castellanos talked all that trash the entire offseason. And, man, he backed it up.
Credit to him.
Backed it up. So,
yeah,
good for him. But, man, yeah, really, really impressive by Florida State. And now obviously intrigued to see what this turns into the rest of the year, because Florida State was as big of a question mark as any of the elite brands in the ACC coming into the year, especially off of what they did last year. It was such a disaster, 2-10 with the playoff, but Gus Malzahn's play calling with Castellanos, this felt pretty good. They ran the ball real well here. I'm interested to see if they're in a position where, they're forced to throw the ball, if, what that's going to look like. But, man, for now, this looks like a tough offense to defend and a very, very feisty defense. So we'll see. But, yeah, very impressive first win.
I felt like Gus Malzahn, I don't know if there's anything, there can't be, right, with former Auburn coaching against Alabama, against a new Alabama staff that's running different stuff on defense. Like, there can't really be a connection there, but man, did Gus just it seemed like he had something figured out about Alabama's defense. He had them running in circles all game. Florida State ran the hell out of the ball in this game. And as you mentioned, I mean, Tommy Castellanos, incredibly impressive. After talking the amount of trash kind of that he did, and I said the amount, like there was like a ton of instances. There really weren't. But to go for 230 on the ground as a team, Castellanos had 78 yards and a touchdown of that. One of 4 touchdowns that Florida State had on the ground. I just feel like they had Alabama's defense off balance all afternoon and was really impressed. Squirrel White had a brilliant catch on the first drive or so of the game for Florida State that really kind of helped to set the tone, I think, and keep Alabama's defense from being able to cheat properly. Really impressed with Florida State. Their defense, too. Tony White, this new defense that they've just brought in, that might be something, Mike. It might be something.
Could be.
7 tackles for a loss in this game, and including multiple transfers from Nebraska that came with Tony White. I think they got something. And Florida State, we might need to be like with this among a couple other teams, we might need to like reassess what the very top end of the ACC looks like. And that might be a little bit of week 1 overreaction, but it might not be.
Yeah, we'll talk about Clemson in a minute. The thing about Florida State is they may have a defined ceiling with their offense because I don't know if Castellanos can carry them with his arm, right, in the way that he would need to if Florida State runs into a scenario where they simply cannot run it. So that's what I'm interested in seeing. Mm-hmm. But if the defense is this feisty and the running game is this good, I think there's probably a pretty good chance that the floor is very high and the ceiling, we may need to raise it a little bit from what we thought it would be in the preseason, which truthfully, I think this team was a big question mark. We had no idea. So,
yeah. To your point, I mean, Florida State does have games this year against defenses such as Miami, Pitt, Clemson, Virginia Tech, NC State, and Florida. Like any of those. And now, to be fair, I would have expected Alabama to be a team that could have kind of neutralized the run, and they couldn't. But some of these other teams might be able to as well. And yeah, to your point, then can Castellanos beat you with his arm? TBD. He obviously can make some big throws in moments, but can he do that consistently for 60 minutes if that's the way that they have to beat you? I've never really believed in him that way.
Right. Agree. Now, with that said, Florida State's not going 2-10 this year.
No. Well, and that's one of the things I noticed was like the effort levels. Like, you mentioned this, that Alabama seemed like there was a little bit of like a lethargic look to them.
Scary, man.
I don't know if they didn't know where to go. I don't know if it was just an effort issue, what it was, but like Florida State looked like they wanted it more in this game than Alabama did.
Mm-hmm. More to prove, it felt. So,
yeah. So very impressed by the Noles here. Might need to reassess kind of what the top end of the ACC looks like, but we can get to that in future episodes. Anything else on this, Mike?
No, we're good.
Keep moving here. Huge. This was, by the way, talking about this is a great weekend for the ACC. That game right there, that's a big piece of it, is that you had an unranked team take out a top 10 team from the SEC. That's a big win for the ACC, as much as Florida State hates to do anything for the ACC these days.
Yeah, gigantic. And they needed it for themselves, being 2-10 last year. They needed a win like that. So
100%. Florida State 31, Alabama 17.
Let's just talk about LSU Clemson. We're talking about the top half of the ACC, or very top of the ACC. LSU 17, Clemson 10. Both defenses very, very good. Like, both of them very good. My concern with Clemson now, important note, Antonio Williams was lost like in the first drive of this game. That is a significant note because he's one of their most important pass catchers. So I'm going to say some things about the Clemson offense, but that's very important to note that you're losing one of your best receivers very early in the game. I thought Clemson struggled to sustain drives here. Obviously, they really struggled to run it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that had to do with LSU's front. But for all of the talk about Clemson's offensive line coming into the season, because the offseason, they were like, all right, Clemson, they've struggled up front. In recent years, they're feeling really good about what they're bringing back, and this can be an offensive line that's really going to take some steps forward. We hear all of that talk, and then they rush it, sack adjusted, 20 times for 31 yards against LSU. I mean, that's too much on Cade Klubnik for who we know him to be at this stage of his career. That's what you got to run the ball better than that. And when you have a receiver go down early, right, it's even more imperative that you establish a running game. Klubnik had his moments, just purely from the Clemson side. He had his moments, but it just really felt like in the second half, LSU ratcheted up the pressure on him and really made his life miserable back there in the pocket. I thought Clemson's offensive line held up for a bit. But yeah, I mean, there was just a ton of pressure on Klubnik here. It really made it difficult for him to operate. Defensively, really impressed by Clemson. My thing with Clemson is, are they going to take the step forward, right, that we're all thinking that they could take, in that we expect them to be a team to contend in the ACC, and obviously they're a heavy favorite coming into the year to win the title. I still think they should be considered the favorite to win the title, even coming out of this weekend. But are they going to be a team that can make some noise in a playoff against some of the elite teams in college football? The answer continues to be, with this offense, the answer continues to be no, right? They haven't put enough together on that side of the ball to really give you any sort of confidence that they're going to get into a game against a defense like LSU's, or, go up against Ohio State, whoever. I mean, we just saw it in the playoff last year, and put together enough drives to make things competitive. So they're having some trouble against the elite brands, which I think is an indictment a little bit of Dabo's program, because they were one of the elite brands for a decade there, and they've taken a step back to the field. And I think it's clear when they get into games like this. And it was the same deal on Saturday, where I thought that they had a real chance to win this game. And the second half, they had nothing to show for it on offense. I thought that they were the better team in the first half, and the second half, they were not the better team. And LSU took it to them, and Nussmeier made some plays. And I thought he was the best quarterback in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I really impressed with both defenses for what it's worth. I mean, it was a little bit of a rock fight throughout. It kind of felt like, game one for Tom Allen's defense here, very impressed. Like they definitely looked notably better than they did last year, and that whole thing came true. What didn't come true was the idea that, Cade Klubnik's going to take a big step forward here in year 3. Because this is kind of the same Cade Klubnik, I feel like, that we've seen, where he gets onto some of the biggest stages and he's just not Superman. And I'm not saying he's bad. He's not bad, but he's just not like incredible. And this is where I feel like there was like, we got so used to this like 7-year period where for 6 of them, Clemson's quarterback was Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, who, as we've talked about on this podcast numerous times, Mike, if you want to talk about who are the top quarterbacks of the 2010s in college football, you don't have to use very many fingers before you've mentioned both Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
Cade Klubnik is good, but he's not that, and so this was a game where they had basically nothing in the running game. That's another thing to be concerned about, is like you can't manufacture offense at all in the face of what might have been, pretty good LSU defense, but just nothing in the run game at all, ever. Concerning. And then, Cade just was not Superman here. He made his mistakes. There were times, and it was a little bit, there were a couple drops in there and places where he wasn't getting helped out by the 10 guys around him. But it's this Clemson offense that just continues to give me concerns of, can they really reach the ceiling that a lot of us thought that maybe they could this year? And this is where feel like I'm validated coming into the year saying I don't think that they're national championship good.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't either. I think that they're good enough to get to the playoff, and I mean, we said on the season preview, get into the playoff, win a game maybe, and that would get you maybe into the semifinal. I mean, I don't think they showed anything in this game to indicate that they couldn't be one of like the top 4 teams remaining.
Sure. Yeah. With however the bracket is set up or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you run into LSU again, or you run into a team like this where you're in a 4-quarter defensive battle and you make the play on offense that you didn't make, okay. Like, you know, I don't think this team is championship good. I think they're going to be I think they'll be very good. I think they could certainly still win the ACC. There's nothing I saw on Saturday to indicate that they couldn't do that. And I still think that they, have an offense where they're going to be able, based on what we saw last year anyway, they're going to have an offense that's going to be able to beat up on lesser competition in the league. But when they get into a game against top-notch competition, top-tier competition, we'll see. So,
yeah,
got some questions still.
Yep, absolutely. Fair to have questions after week one, but it's. I don't know that they're necessarily living up to the billing that maybe some people thought they might. There are people thinking they're a top 1 or 2 team in the country. At least for right now, they're not that. And maybe they look different in November and December than they do right now. But what I saw on Saturday was not a top 2 or 3 team in the country level of quality.
No, I didn't think they were. Neither did you. This kind of bears that out. They are kind of what I thought we'd get a little bit more out of their offense, certainly, but they're about what I thought, I think, through 1 week.
Yeah. Yep. Fair enough. Evan Sandage. To be fair, what if LSU is just really, really good? Entirely possible.
Yeah. In that case, you lost by a touchdown, against a really, really good team. We're not poo-pooing on Clemson like they're some scrub. I'm just saying I think there's some offensive questions they still need to answer if they want to be considered one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the sport. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Is that. So anyway.
This is also probably related to why their win total was 9.5 in Vegas, because now you're staring down the barrel of an absolute top end scenario of 11-1. You've got plenty of losable games in there remaining, so we'll see what Clemson gets to the finish line with.
Right, for sure.
In any case, where to, Mike? Sorry, LSU number 9, LSU 17, Clemson number 4, Clemson 10.
All right, it's time. This is for Cam. Miami 27, Notre Dame 24. Hi, Cam.
Hi, Cam.
Joey and I both locked this game up. We locked
also
up Notre Dame.
Direction.
I will say that it never seemed like the right side. I watched essentially the entire game. This was not really ever the right side. I thought Miami was the better team, basically for the entirety. I thought CJ Carr looked really overwhelmed in the first half for Notre Dame in his first start. Then I thought he really settled in. He made some big time throws in the second half. I think Notre Dame definitely has something in their redshirt freshman quarterback. He's going to be very good, I think. Notre Dame went away from the running game, which was shocking to me. Jeremiah Love is on your team. Just give it to him. I think you're on the road with a quarterback making his very first start, and he's young. You'd think you want to ease him in, but he earned some stripes last night, so maybe that'll benefit them down the road, right? From a passing game standpoint. But 2 things stood out to me here. Number 1, Miami's offensive line. Outstanding. We expected it to be very good, but they are outstanding. That is going to be one of the top 6 or 7 defenses in college football in Notre Dame, and they really had trouble getting pressure on Beck. That is a really, really, really good Miami offensive line. I think that could carry them pretty far. Miami's defense was unbelievably fast and swarming and far more decisive than they have been in recent years. That's been an issue for them. defensively, decisiveness, and inconsistent play. I thought they were very consistent. I thought they tackled well. I thought they were very good in coverage for the most part and held up. They had, of course, like a couple of coverage busts there in the fourth quarter that made things interesting, but I thought by and large, the secondary was really solid. I think they're much better coached defensively than they have in the last few years, for sure. One game sample size will look really, really good to start. Beck was awesome. I mean, he was really, really good. Made a bunch of really good throws. Elbow looked good. No issue with arm strength. No issue. I mean, he was throwing in rhythm. He looked comfortable. He looked healthy. And he looked more comfortable than he did last year at Georgia, because I think he was playing behind a much better offense. I know he was playing behind a much better offensive line in this game than he played behind in all of last year.
Probably thrown to some better receivers than he was thrown to last year too.
I would agree. So I think a really encouraging start for Miami. Now, if I may, the Mario Cristobal School of Game Management. Can I talk about this a little bit?
We're in the fourth, on another masterclass in this game.
We're in the fourth quarter. Okay. We're leading the game. We have a chance to put Notre Dame away. It's third and about 4. You have a quarterback with multiple years of experience who is playing out of his mind. And instead, you put the ball in the hand. And look, everybody in the stadium knows you're trying to run the clock. Why wouldn't you just try to get a first down to end the game? Instead, you hand the ball off and you kick a long field goal. It went in. Right?
With a kicker who the broadcast was making a huge deal about how he's like never made a kick ever, basically.
And they were shuffling. They've been shuffling kickers. Why wouldn't you just hand the ball? Why wouldn't you, instead of handing the ball off, put the ball in Beck's hands? He's been awesome all night. And go down. And if you're not going to put the ball in the end zone, at least get a little bit closer than a 47-yard field goal to take the lead with a kicker that Sean McDonough is saying, "Oh, well, okay, that's the guy they're running out there this time." It's like, who's doing the kicking tonight?
I was kind of stunned that didn't blow up in Mario's face.
Yeah, me too. Of course, the kick was made and it ends up being fine. And then Miami's pass rush gets after Notre Dame when Irish had no timeouts left, so that's a wing and a prayer trying to get the ball up the field. But yeah, man, I would have been a little bit more aggressive there with Carson Beck as the quarterback and how you've been playing. Also considering Notre Dame came storming back in this game, right? They scored 10 points in like 3.5 minutes to tie this thing, and you're playing conservative, trying to play for a field goal. This is why I think that Miami's ceiling is capped a little bit with Mario as a head coach. Really high. We've talked about this a million times. Really, really high floor, questionable as far as what their ceiling is. And he's good to lose you a game or two. So that's what I would caution with Miami. But the talent is there. The defense is, I think, going to be there this year. Beck is not Cam Ward, but if you get the Beck you got last night, you don't need him to be Cam Ward, right? More importantly, if you get the defense that you got last night, you don't need Beck to be Cam Ward.
Yeah.
The big reason why Ward had to do the stuff he did last year was because the defense was letting you down so often that Ward had to go play Superman. Beck's not going to have to do that. Yeah. But with real receivers and behind a very good offensive line, Beck could go win you some games with, I think, the mix that they have. So I like this team ceiling more than last year's team because of what their defense looks like through one game. And I think they're going to be a really good team this year. And I'm feeling more confident about them getting to Charlotte. That was a pick that I made because somebody had to get there.
Yeah.
But the game management stuff, I think, is probably the biggest question right now coming out of this one, because this was a really, really impressive one.
Yeah, 100%. If I remember right, there was also some game management stuff, timeout usage, something late in the first half. I don't remember exactly what it was. I was on a plane and then I was on like an airport shuttle and like trying to keep up with this game the best I could, but it wasn't the most conducive to, having a good recollection of what was going on. But Yeah, there was something late in the first half, I feel like, that was questionable, but like it worked out, but very much a thing of just because it works out doesn't mean it was the right decision. One of the things I'm gonna, by the way, I echo everything that you said here, Mike. I mean, very impressed with Miami, both sides of the ball, really. Carson Beck was better than I thought he would be in this spot, especially against a Notre Dame defense that I don't think was maybe quite as smothering as we saw them towards the end of last year. But they were still very effective, and yet Carson Beck and that Miami offense were able to generate yards and sustain drives and produce some points, clearly. And then Miami's defense, was furious and got in CJ Carr's face early and often. Carr had a better second half, especially in the fourth quarter. They were pretty good there for a while. But just I'm very impressed with Miami. I thought that they were we kind of asked the question to Cam at one point, was like, do we feel like they're really like a top 10 quality team? They might be, Mike.
And
they might
Cam
be.
said no. Cam said more like top 15. Not even Cam thought that they were top 10.
Yeah. I mean, week one overreactions and all that, but like, Miami was sharp last night, sharper than I thought. And I will say that the thing that I heard somebody say in the last week or two is, if you want somebody to lead your program from Sunday through Friday, Mario's the guy. Like, absolutely the guy. The problem is on Saturdays, you don't really want Mario calling all the shots. So, but as long as you can work around that, I mean, they're going to be right there. One last thing I want to mention before we move on from this game. And this isn't really specifically pertinent to this game as much as kind of a lot of them. I'm working on a theory here, and I don't really know what the theory is, but it's something around the quarterbacks with some of these teams.
Yep.
Notre Dame is one of a number of high-end teams. Alabama was another one that was like some of these like top 10-ish like high-end programs that were starting like freshmen or otherwise like completely inexperienced quarterbacks this weekend. You saw it with Arch Manning and Julian Sayin. Again, Ty Simpson with Alabama. You saw it with CJ Carr with Notre Dame. Like, there are a lot of these because, Carson Beck is of a dying breed, basically the fifth-year transfer guy. Like,
didn't get hurt, he'd be gone anyway. He'd be in the NFL.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out a pattern here because I feel like a lot of these like hyped freshman, inexperienced type of quarterbacks wasn't all that impressive. And I mean, I think Cade Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeier, neither of them had great nights either in Death Valley. Right. So like, it's kind of throwing a wrench in the theory a little bit, but I don't know. I'm workshopping that. We'll see where we land on that here in a couple weeks.
Turns out, if you've been around a while, you might be a little bit better than the freshman.
Yeah. Well, and especially again, some of these high-end teams playing against high-end opponents, like it's not just an automatic thing. The way at times it kind of seemed like it was for a Trevor Lawrence or a Justin Fields or someone else, there a few years ago, but not right now.
No,
not right now.
No, not in this era.
Number 10, Miami 27, number 6, Notre Dame 24.
We're just going to get the big games out of the way because I think the smaller ones we're going to temple run it, if you will. Yeah. Number 13, South Carolina 24, reference. Virginia Tech. Yeah, it's good. Virginia Tech 11. Virginia Tech's defense gave up in opening drive touchdown to Lenora Sellers. It went right up the field in like 8 plays, and Sellers ran it in for a touchdown. And I was getting out of the car at a cookout, and I said, man, this is more of the same, isn't it, on defense for Virginia Tech? New coordinator, same old shit, is what I was thinking in the back of my mind. Now, I will say, it was not the same old stuff, man. They figured it out, made some adjustments defensively, got after Lenora Sellers in this game. Offensive line of South Carolina was really having a hard time blocking Virginia Tech's defensive front, which was rotating in a bunch of transfers and some guys who played last year, but a lot of transfers made an impact yesterday. Defense, I was really, really impressed with. Sam Seifkis's defense in his first game, pretty much an A debut. Like, very good. Far better and more consistent in the one game sample size than I could have hoped for. Very, very good. Offensively, a challenge. Virginia Tech scored 9 points offensively. They had a safety here, right, from their defense. Virginia Tech averaged almost 5.3 yards per play offensively in this game. So, not earth-shatteringly good, like not outstanding, but good enough, right? Where you should be scoring more than 9 points as an offense if you're moving the ball like that. But Virginia Tech really struggled to finish drives here. Kyron Drones had an abhorrent interception in the first half in the red zone.
It's terrible.
Broke a tackle, rolled out to his right, threw it across his body into double coverage. Not a throw that a fifth-year senior quarterback should be making. Horrible interception. A between the ears issue on that one. I mean, more than the second interception when they're down multiple scores late and it's fourth and forever and he misses high over the middle. Okay, you got to make something happen there. Not worried about that. That first interception, the first half was brutal. Virginia Tech's passing attack with drones in general left a lot to be desired in this game. I did like some of the receivers for Virginia Tech. Aiden Green, he's been there a while. He stepped up, played well. Donovan Green, who we all are aware of here on this podcast, played well in this game. Had a very boneheaded 15-yard personal foul penalty on a drive in the first half that absolutely killed. Virginia Tech was at the South Carolina 38 when he committed that penalty. They ended up in third and forever and had to punt. So that really killed the drive. Now it's just kind of
an insane catch at one point in the first half, if I remember right.
Yes, no, absolutely did. But it was the theme of the game for Virginia Tech, right? Like one step forward, two steps back offensively, would make a play, then they'd commit a penalty or they'd drop a pass or Drones would miss a layup, right? Because Drones was banged up last year. He missed the final 3 games of the year, but he was hurt before that and dealt with some issues, with his health, throwing the ball and the consistency and all that stuff. But the biggest problem for me is that he was missing some throws yesterday that he made last year, even when he was banged up. It was an uncharacteristically bad game. And I'm not expecting him, as I said on my tech podcast earlier tonight, I'm not expecting him to make some like layered throws, like between a linebacker and a safety and cover 2. Like I'm not asking him to make professional throws time and time again. I'm asking him to not miss a guy in the flat. Not miss the dump off pass to a tight end when he's wide open and throwing it at his feet.
The
easy ones. Yeah. The throws that he should be making as a quarterback who's probably making like $500,000 a year. So I'm not asking for like absurd improvement. I'm asking for him to just make the easy throws. You make the easy throws, you probably score a little bit here offensively. So there was that. There were some drop passes and penalties and stuff like that. Defense played really well. South Carolina was the better team here, I thought, but Tech hung in there, and there's some encouraging signs for sure. And I don't think the offense is going to be like horrible this year. I thought there were some things that they did that, from a consistency standpoint, led to them struggling the way that they did yesterday. But I don't think this is going to be like a horrible offense where they can't move the ball, can't put the ball in the end zone. I just think that if they get inconsistent and off schedule, they're going to have some issues.
Mm-hmm.
But defensively, defense plays like that the rest of the year, they're going to be in a lot of games given their schedule for sure.
Yeah, again, very impressed with the defense here. And I mean, again, they gave up. It was like a hot knife through butter situation for South Carolina in that first drive of the game. 7 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. And most of that was like chunk plays. It was 12 yards, 14 yards, 15, 20, that kind of thing. After that, on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 South Carolina possessions for the rest of the game, the defense only gave up 10 points. Like, you take that every time, basically a little over 1 point per possession. Like that's a really good look against an offense that should be pretty good. Lenora Sellers, a bit of a dark horse Heisman contender.
Pause.
It's late. Dark horse Heisman contender. A lot coming back. That whole thing. Like, there's a lot to like about the South Carolina offense, and Virginia Tech's defense gave them some problems for a lot of this game. And so I was very encouraged by that. It did seem like I saw a stat somewhere that Kyron Drones passing the ball, I think in plus territory, he was like 1 for 14.
David Cunningham, friend of the show.
Yeah, it was our guy, David Cunningham, had this. It was a crazy stat. And it's like they got into plus territory, and Kyron Drones couldn't hit the broadside of a barn passing. I mean, that's where he has got to be better than that.
Yeah.
If the Hokies are going to be anything more than a 6-6-ish team. So yeah, there were some things I saw that were kind of concerning there. Definitely was not blown away by name that Montgomery. Which one? Scotty? Justin? Philip Montgomery. Philip Montgomery. I've been watching this sport for too long. Philip Montgomery. I wasn't blown away by what I saw there. Some of the play calling and the scheme and play design, like that kind of thing. But again, it's game one, maybe some weirdness there. Kind of have to get used to it here for a few weeks. So we'll see what that turns into. But again, I can't get over how I was really impressed with the Hokies defense in a way that I haven't really been in a few years. So
yeah,
was very pleased to see that. The one other thing I did want to mention from this game, Mike, and I don't think it's going to be an official award winner this week necessarily, but we had a significant Go ACC Moment of the Week candidate. And you already kind of alluded to it. Hokies have 3rd and 10 at the 20-yard line in the first quarter. Kyron Drones rolls out, has time, is looking into the end zone, might have room to scramble for it and get the first down. Heaves a ball into heavy traffic, intercepted by South Carolina. That throw and that kind of way that worked out was bad in and of itself. But the South Carolina defender says, you know what? We're going for it. Runs it out of the end zone, tackled on the 2-yard line.
2, yeah.
Okay, so that was a silly move on his end. So then South Carolina sets up, and 1st and 10 run gets nowhere. They're still on the 2-yard line. Second play, shotgun pass. Lenora Sellers just gets absolutely mauled in the back of in the end zone, and it's a safety. And it's like, I don't know that South Carolina could have played it almost any more poorly after Kyron Drones threw that pass than they did. So go ACC to all of that entire sequence. Go ACC.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It was bad. I mean, Drones essentially arm punted and Tech got 2 points out of it instead of 7. So if you want to take a more optimistic point of view,
I was going to say that was some big brain stuff. They got 2 points and the ball, and and then they lost 14 yards in the next drive. So it's fine. It's fine.
It's the analytics, baby. You know.
Number 13, South Carolina 24, Virginia Tech 11. Don't worry, Hokies. You just got Vandy coming to town next week.
What could go wrong? NC State 24, East Carolina 17. We have a few more that are competitive. This and like 2 other ones that we can kind of speed run.
Temple Run.
Yeah, Temple Run, speed run, something. We'll be running. We'll be doing more running than I've done lately. That's for sure.
Yeah.
CJ Bailey, really good here. Really impressed by him. Looked like he picked up right where he left off last year. Seemed really comfortable in the offense. Hollywood Smothers, NC State really committed to the run here and tried to really keep the ball on the ground, which is good. Now, things got a little wonky in the second half because NC State started stalling out a bit offensively. East Carolina, and East Carolina kept kind of chipping away. This was a 24-3 game heading into the fourth quarter, or excuse me, a 24-7 game heading into the fourth quarter. And East Carolina simply would not go away, to the point where East Carolina had the ball, right? So remember, 24-7 heading into the fourth quarter, to the point where East Carolina had the ball with an opportunity to tie the game with 2 minutes left?
And
it took an NC State defensive stand here late to essentially hold on for the win. It felt like to me, and I had several games going, but this was one of them. It felt like to me that NC State really was just kind of holding on for dear life against an East Carolina team that they looked like they were a lot better than for most of this game. Texted you guys on Thursday night and said, hey, NC State's looking real good here in this first half. NC State's looking real good. And it just kind of stalled out offensively in the second half. And I don't know if they were kind of coasting or what, but they just did not bring the same level of intensity I felt in the second half. I think halftime adjustments in the sport in general are pretty overrated. but it felt like East Carolina did some things in the second half to cause, especially in the fourth quarter, to cost NC State some trouble. And I thought defensively, East Carolina was much better in the second half, just keeping things in front of them in general. So
yeah,
there was some of that there too. But I think NC State should be happy with the result, but a little bit concerned, obviously, and it's game one, but they really just could not bury them here.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like they were the better team throughout, and it almost ended up just being a game that ended up tied, and who knows what would have happened in overtime with these two teams. So,
yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, to your point, East Carolina has the ball 1st and 10 in the red zone with a little over 2 minutes left, ready to tie the game, right? Like that's how close we were. And
yeah.
It's a game where NC State starts out, they've got 4 offensive possessions in, they're up 17-0. Like field goal, punt, touchdown. They started out hot. CJ Bailey looked good early on.
Yeah.
I think part of where NC State struggled kind of down the stretch here was that they struggled to establish a consistent run game.
Yep.
Which is a little bit concerning coming from a Dave Doran program, but is especially concerning coming against an East Carolina team that like this is not recognized as one of the better defenses that you're going to play this year. Like,
right.
You need to be able to run the ball to be able to salt games like this away, and they just kind of couldn't. Because to your point, Mike, NC State kind of stalled out on offense for a healthy portion of the middle of this game.
Yep.
They had one good drive at the end of the third quarter, 10 plays, 80 yards, touchdown, but that capped off like a 5-drive stretch where they did almost nothing. And so I don't know what to make of that. Again, CJ Bailey made some great throws and had a couple of highlights and the stat book looks good and all that, but you got to sustain it for 60 minutes. And I don't know. So again, all's well that ends well. You won the game. You're 1-0. You beat your rival. You got the win back after the bowl game last year, all that good stuff. But at the same time, it's easy to feel a little bit uneasy that, this was way closer than it had to be.
Yep. Agree.
So NC State 24, East Carolina 17.
All right. Cal 34, Oregon State 15. I just want to talk about the freaking quarterback for Cal.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want to talk about. This was a game where you and I both picked Oregon State. We were feeling uneasy about Cal and what they were going to be this year, but I'll tell you what, if my guy Jerron Kiawe Sagapalitele, how to do there was that? I got an 8 out of 10 earlier.
I'll say 8 out of ten.
Okay,
the accent maybe a little bit of work, but I think the mechanics are okay there.
More than a little bit of work, a lot of bit of work.
Sagapalitele. Oh damn.
If he plays like this, Cal's got a little something at quarterback, and that changes everything for their season. Changes everything. I mean, if he's just going to be a gamer and make all these really crazy throws and look like a professional out there, yeah, Cal's going to have something. He was a highly sought after quarterback that Cal somehow landed. I don't know how that happened, but he was. I think Auburn was it. Bud Elliott tweeted something. I think Auburn was interested and was trying to get in the mix to land him, and he was like, "No, I'm sticking with Cal for some reason." So enjoy him while you got him, because if he's playing like this, he will not be long for Cal. They really kind of struggled to run it here though too. So just important to note, they really had to rely on him to provide most of the offense, passing the football. But Cal's defense, it's late, sorry. As you'd expect with a Justin Wilcox coach team, defense played very well here. But yeah, the offense was impressive, especially quarterback play. If you're getting this level of quarterback play, it certainly raises the floor of Cal to certainly a bowl team, if not maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, 100% it does. JKS, I believe, is the easy way to pronounce his name.
Yeah. Yep.
A guy who at one point was committed to and might have enrolled at Oregon. And Dennis mentions that in the comments. Will Secor, that's a password name. Evan Sandage, Key and Peele could not have come up with that name.
Yeah.
All valid. Completely true.
Yep.
Whatever the case, he made some crazy throws in this game, and a bit of a gunslinger guy that doesn't seem like he's afraid to make any throw, and seems like he's got a lot of those clubs in the bag. So that absolutely, to your point, Mike, it changes the game. If Cal has a special talent at quarterback, we might have to totally, reevaluate what we thought this was going to be for a Cal season.
I agree.
I think I had them at like 3-9. They could very easily make a bowl game and win a couple of games that they otherwise wouldn't. So worth keeping in mind there. I don't have a whole lot else. I mean, again, kind of impressive for Cal that they played against an Oregon State team that I don't think is great, but like I think they're probably a little bit more solid and serviceable than a team that we kind of thought Cal might not be that good, but you really kind of sat on them in this game, and Cal was impressive. So got to figure out the run game. That still maybe had a little bit of room to grow from this game, but JKS, that's a revelation, and that kind of changes the math in the ACC for a couple teams, I think, if he is what he can be.
Yep.
And what I will say too is I had this thought basically as soon as these highlights started popping up on Twitter, and I hate it. I really, really hate that we now we found this guy, and we now have to immediately frame the discussion as how long can they hold on to him for? That sucks. It sucks, Mike.
Yep.
So just wanted to call that out.
He's a lefty.
He is.
Has a Hawaiian name. Polynesian at the very least.
What's with these Hawaiian quarterbacks that are lefties and sound like Tua?
A little bit. I was gonna say a little bit of Tua in him. Maybe is that lazy? I mean, he did.
Just like Micah Alahado.
Better, but yes, but certainly.
Although I think he was from like Las Vegas, so never mind. Just played for Hawaii.
Just plays for Hawaii.
Cal 34, Oregon State 15.
Speaking of which, Hawaii 40-6 to Arizona, like a bad Arizona team on Saturday. So they got.
Hawaii might have something.
No, they got smoked. They lost that game.
Oh, they
they do not in fact have something. They
by this transitive property, Stanford does not in fact have something.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Good thing they were off. They won the bye week. Let's go here next real quick. Tennessee 45, Syracuse 26. I just want to go into it in just slightly more detail. My concern for Syracuse here. Well, number one, it was a talent thing, so that's why they lost this game. My concern for Syracuse here a little bit is defensively, they really didn't have the juice. And what I'm curious to monitor is if that was just because it's Tennessee or because they're legitimately just not going to have the juice. They had plenty of offense here. The rushing game was kind of hurt by Angeli getting sacked how many times? A bunch. He got sacked 5 times here. So the rushing numbers are hurt by that a little bit, but I thought they ran the ball pretty well. Mm-hmm. And then Angeli threw for 274 yards. He's going to be fine at quarterback for them. I'm more concerned about the defense. They gave up 248 yards on the ground here, which just is not great. And this is a good Syracuse rushing team, but they obviously don't have Dylan Sampson anymore. So to give up, Star Thomas was on the team last year, good back, but like to give up that kind of rushing total is pretty alarming. And they made Joey Aguilar, and maybe Joey Aguilar is just going to be a really good fit for Tennessee, but he was really comfortable and then looked really good throughout for a quarterback that we were wondering if he was going to be a good fit or not at Tennessee. So those are the kind of questions I have moving forward for Syracuse, is more defensively than offensively.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Tennessee, a perfectly balanced near 500 yards of offense. It was through the air. It was on the ground. It seemed like everything was working for them. There was not a lot of resistance from Syracuse and for a lot of this game, which, that's the part that concerns you for sure. I was kind of impressed. I mean, again, this was a Tennessee team that last year their defense was sneaky, like maybe the best part of their team and kind of what helped them to win a lot of their games. Syracuse was able to move the ball here. I mean, Steve Angeli comes up with, 275 through the air. I will say that a distinct difference here, Yassine Willis, had 3 touchdowns on the ground, 23 carries for 91 yards. I don't think he's LeQuint Allen. And that's a definite downgrade. Like,
yeah,
I don't think he's terrible, but he's not kind of the guy that LeQuint Allen was, that was a single-handedly the guy in the run game last year for the Orange. So maybe that changes through the year, but I think they got to figure something out there, or somehow work this way around a Steve Angeli's arm, which we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
This was a game where, you were kind of outgunned from the beginning, and we knew that. And I felt like they kind of acquitted themselves here nicely, kind of hung around, and they were covering with 5 minutes left, and then Tennessee punches in a late touchdown to pull away and win by 19. But could have been worse for Syracuse here for sure. You've got 5 other games away from the Carrier Dome that a lot of them aren't a whole lot easier than this, we'll say. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Yep.
Tennessee 45, Syracuse 26.
All right. 2 more games I really want to get into detail with. I'll let you decide.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to talk about Wake first, or do we want to talk about Bill Belichick first?
I think that people want to hear about Wake first. Let's do that. Wake Forest 10, Kennesaw State 9.
We got to keep them around a little longer. It's not bedtime yet, guys.
If we can't go to bed, neither can you.
That's right. All right. Biggest concern for Wake Forest coming out of this game is their rushing defense.
Yeah, probably.
By volume, Kennesaw State just kept hammering it away, and Wake just let them keep running it, and that is a concern. Kennesaw State averaged less than 4 yards per carry here, but what concerns me is that Wake Forest could not get off the field. I mean, it was concerning to me. Offensively, could have been better, right? Robbie Ashford, I thought, in general, was fine. But you can't let Kennesaw State, I mean, the takeaway for me is Wake Forest, for as bad as the offense was at times, it's the defense for me. You can't let Kennesaw State be 9 of 19 on third down, like almost 50% on third down.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of team. You can't let Kennesaw State, a team that is going to probably struggle to win 3 games this year, you can't let them rack up 300 yards of offense. This is a team that you should be holding to under 200, 250 yards of offense, and you should be winning this game by a couple touchdowns. Even like in this iteration of Wake Forest, you should be winning this game by a couple touchdowns.
Right.
This is concerning for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alarming for a Wake Forest team. I don't expect to be very good this year. And they weren't able to get, and Damon Claiborne was banged up early. So like, I do want to obviously caveat all this with that, like their best offensive player, the guy that they were really like hanging their hat on this year, the one that we were saying, look, if they're going to do anything, it's going to be because of Claiborne. He was banged up in this game, so that's important to note. But you got to be scoring more than 10 points against Kennesaw State. This is an issue, and I think if you had any sort of real competent play at quarterback for Kennesaw State, you're probably going to lose this game. I mean, Dexter Williams II was horrible for Kennesaw. He was 12 of 33 for 149 here. It's just very inconsistent in the passing game. If they had anything to offer in the passing game here, I think Wake would have been in a lot of trouble. So,
yeah, 100%. Both of these teams score touchdowns on their opening drives. Kennesaw misses the extra point. It is 7-6. About 5 minutes left in the first quarter. So if you can do any math in your head, Mike, and you want to figure out kind of what happened from there, all I'm going to tell you is that if you want to go back and you're thinking about, maybe I should go back and rewatch this game, maybe don't. These teams combined for 6 points, the final 50 minutes of play, basically. It was not pretty. And I don't have a whole lot to add to what you're saying here. I mean, yes, Damon Claiborne goes out early. He gets a little bit banged up, and we'll see kind of what his status is moving forward. If you're a Wake fan, you have got to be hoping and praying that he's okay and he's able to kind of play, because that gives you the only chance of winning it seems like this team's going to have for a lot of this season. But man, it kind of sucks that Robbie Ashford is having to run the ball 18 times against Kennesaw State. You know, like that's your guy that you need to be healthy for this year and to run your offense. And you had to run him 18 times against Kennesaw State. Tough.
Yeah. Not good.
Not great. Yeah, not much to add. This was not a sign of good things to come for the Deeks, I fear.
Worried about Wake.
Very much. Wake 10, Kennesaw State 9.
All right, real quick. TCU 48, UNC 14. This one got away from Carolina quite a bit. I thought that TCU was the better team here. I don't think if they play this game 10 times that TCU is winning 48-14 very often.
Right.
UNC's turnovers did them in here for sure. Carolina,
2 defensive scores for TCU, by the way.
2 defensive scores. So, I mean, it's 34-14. And I just told you that this is a game that TCU is probably 2 scores better, right? So 34-14, that's 20. And, you know, UNC was just really struggling in general. They had, I think it was 3 turnovers, only 1 touchdown and 3 turnovers after that opening drive. So just was not great.
Mm-hmm.
UNC, they threw it a few times on the opening drive and then pretty much totally neglected the passing game after that. They really had trouble up front protecting for Gio Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a lot of trouble running the football outside of that first drive of the game. The tackling by the corners were, I mean, the tackling was horrendous. A lot of times the defenders would be in position and the defensive backs in general were just horrible in terms of tackling. So that's something they have to clean up. I do think that TCU is going to be very good. So that is just something to monitor. I think that the hype around them being much better this year is probably legitimate. And I do think Carolina will probably get better as the year goes on. I think that's true as well. This was a pretty tough opener. With all that said, Carolina's got a talent issue at certain positions, especially on the offensive line. I think that's going to show up. Now, they have a pretty manageable schedule. They have Charlotte and Richmond the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then they have UCF, and UCF's going to be pretty bad if week 1's any indication. So
it might be 3-1.
There's a chance that Carolina could end up 3-1 anyway. And like we said in the preseason, they could be a bowl team without really having that kind of talent. I think it was going to take a while for this roster, and Ari Wasserman from On3 mentioned this, and I thought was a really good point. Belichick and Lombardi, the GM, have sold this as going like a developmental program for the pros. And to Wasserman's point, if it was going to be that, it was going to take more than a year to kind of develop into that, which I thought was probably a pretty good point. But with all that said, how long is Belichick going to be there? I mean, we've talked about that. We've asked that question.
Which Belichick?
Yeah, okay. The Bill one.
Fair.
Yeah. So, yeah, Carolina's defense, I think they'll be practicing full pads this week and figuring out how to tackle. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah. This was a tough scene for North Carolina after the opening 10 minutes of this game, basically. I mean, TCU ends up with well over 500 yards of offense. I don't know that there has been in any, I'll say recent memory, and you take a lot of liberties with the word recent. I don't think there's a Bill Belichick defense in recent memory that you remember looking this bad. And some of that very likely points to a talent deficiency of sorts. Some of it might be that TCU is better than kind of we thought that they would be, but it was weird to me. I mean, like watching this game and the way that UNC gets the ball to start out, they go right down the field, 7 plays, 83 yards, touchdown. Place is going bananas. Like, and you just think that there's people. Oh, I think I saw Skip Bayless. Oh, here comes
national
championship,
offense,
national title, championship. Bill Belichick, all this stuff, and then it just completely gets away from him. Like instantly after that, it was weird. I don't know if this is just the Freddie Kitchens script that was great, and then everything after that, Gio Lopez just had nothing because they got like 1 first down the entire rest of the first half after this. Like, you talk about like stalled out. They couldn't move the ball whatsoever. They refused to throw it, like you said. I don't understand what that was about. I mean, it was some point like late in the third quarter, they're down 27 points, and Gio Lopez makes his 8th passing attempt.
Yeah.
Like, what?
What are we doing?
I don't know. And then it late in the third, they get another drive. They bring in Max Johnson, and he has a successful drive. Don't know what to make of that. Like, has TCU now started playing conservative prevent defense, and now there's just easy stuff there? I don't know. This is a weird game in a sense, but definitely, I mean, hard to be encouraged for North Carolina losing by 34 points at home like this in a big spot. Just really odd the way that it started out really hot for them and then just completely collapsed for a solid 2.5 quarters after that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of that. Schedule's very forgiving the next, basically for the rest of September. They're probably going to be 3-1 hosting Clemson, and we'll see what that whole circus looks like here in a few weeks.
Yeah, if they're 3-1, everybody's going to be back on the hype train. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Dion 2 years ago with bad Colorado. Only UNC's got an easier schedule, so they have a chance to actually make a bowl game still.
Yep.
But this reminds, from a talent standpoint, this reminds me of Colorado. Everybody wanted them to be good so bad just for like the media narratives, but this is just going to be the same thing.
Yep.
I feel like
100%. Standing on Money is in the comments, fired up that North Carolina covered all the failed to cover all the alt lines.
It's real degenerates out there. Could not be me. That's
our people. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
TCU 48, North Carolina 14. You want to cruise through the rest of these, Mike?
Yeah, Temple Run time.
Duke 45, Elon 17. Probably a little closer than they wanted, and then it was fine.
Run the ball better.
Yeah. Darian Mensah, upgrade.
Very much so. Threw for almost 400 yards. So.
Yep. There you go. SMU 42, East Texas A&M 13.
Didn't watch a minute, but good debut for Jennings.
Likewise. Easy, comfortable. We'll be fine. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Pitt 61, Duquesne 9. Pitt retakes the streak in City game.
And the starters didn't really play much in the second half. So
that's true.
Good too.
That's what you wanted. Boston College 66, Fordham 10. Sure. Yeah. Good start. Dylan Lonergan. Good start.
Hell yeah. 4 scores.
Yep. You take that every time. Louisville 51, Eastern Kentucky 17. A game that probably wasn't actually that close. Louisville kind of avalanched them from the beginning and then just kind of cruised.
Game was over when it was scheduled.
That's right. That's right. And then I don't know how we saved this for very last, but Virginia 48, Coastal Carolina 7. Hello, Virginia.
Hello, Chandler Morris, most importantly.
Mm-hmm.
Upgraded quarterback.
Mike.
They do. They do have something.
Yeah, this was another just absolute avalanche situation. Virginia was up big and just never let this game be in doubt, which is a encouraging showing. Good start for the Hoos.
So far, we're 1 for 1 in terms of the feeling about Virginia with their totally rebooted roster. So
that's right. We long way to go. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Gonna do some awards.
Let's do it.
There
it is.
The Go ACC moment of the week, Mike.
I think it has to be a South Carolina sequence.
Yeah, that was something. Once again,
yeah.
Bad, dumb interception, bad, dumb decision to run it out, bad, dumb play calling results in a safety. Go ACC to all that.
Yeah. The Brian Van Gorder Memorial You Tried Award goes to Virginia Tech, trying to score in the red zone.
Yep.
A challenge.
They did try.
I didn't mention this in the when we were recapping the game, but Virginia Tech had a 13% success rate in the red zone on Sunday. That was in the 9th percentile of all the games played this weekend. So.
Yeah. Not great.
Not ideal.
Not great at all. Do we have a Kobe Bryant Memorial Volume Shooter of the Week award?
hate to state the same game because it's my alma mater. Kyron Drones, if you take away like 2 big throws, it was really, really bad. He was 15 of 35 for 221 and 2 interceptions. And there were basically 2 explosive pass plays of more than 30 yards that made the stats look better than they probably deserve to be.
Yeah.
So, he's my candidate.
Can I throw Gio Lopez out there?
Yeah, you can.
10 passing attempts, 7 carries, including sacks, 59 yards on 17 plays where the ball was credited to him. So, shout out to Gio.
I have a belated You Tried award.
Oh, yeah?
Clemson's rushing attack.
Yeah.
Adam Randall was the leading rusher, 5 carries for 16 yards. Not great. 31 yards rushing as a team. Even if you take out the sacks. 30 yards rushing.
Is that good?
Cade Klubnik, who does design quarterback runs. I understand that he was sacked a couple times, but design quarterback runs are a thing in Clemson's offense. He had 8 carries for 1 yard.
Not going to get it done, I don't think.
Bring this one up on the screen, Joey. Wilson Core's comment, please. We have one more award.
Oh, dear.
The King Charles Memorial You're Dying Award, because he sent this in while the game was still going on, / the Queen Elizabeth II, by the way, Memorial You Died Award goes to North Carolina. 48-14. Loss in Bill Belichick's debut. God damn.
Yeah. Tough scene.
Rough.
Will also nominated a new potential award. I don't know if you saw this either. The Mario Cristobal Memorial Bad Clock Management against Georgia Tech Award. Goes to Deion Sanders.
Oddly specific.
Yeah, you know. It could be a weekly award. You never know. Who's to say?
That's at least a quarterly award in terms of the season. So,
Devin Hamilton, the people were partying in downtown Seville Saturday night. How about that?
Wouldn't know what that's like because Tech lost to South Carolina. So,
and Dennis says Gio Lopez didn't have enough attempts to qualify for the award. That's valid point. Valid point.
I do appreciate we're getting picky about the award selections. I do appreciate that from the live listeners.
Official qualifying, like it's baseball stats or something like that. Yeah,
got to keep us accountable. I must say, I'm very proud of you and I for keeping this at basically an hour and a half with 16 games.
Yeah, this could have gone a lot longer and a lot worse. So, yeah, well, let's quit while we're ahead. How's that sound?
That sounds good to me.
As we said, good week for the ACC. Honestly, I think, again, a couple of stinkers in there, but by and large, the way that these week ones typically go for this conference, this went pretty well overall. So, excited about that. We're going to get out of here, Mike. We're going to come back. We're going to preview week 2. Keep it tuned here, youtube.com/@the-ACC Football Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We'd love to have you. Hit the bell icon. You'll be notified when we're going to go live. Week 2, we've got, I'm not going to count all these games, but I think we got about 16 more games. Yeah,
a lot.
Roughly. So,
and Joey, a couple interesting ones, including Illinois, a top 15, number 12 Illinois playing Duke in a nooner
in Durham
on Saturday in Durham. And let me be the first to inform you that Illinois opened as a 3-point favorite as the number 12 team in the country traveling to Durham.
We're also going to have some CW underdogs. I don't know if you noticed that, Mike.
I did notice that. The CW is back.
Probably won't be SMU. They'll be CW favorites, as it were. But, yeah. SMU hosting Baylor on the CW. That'll be fun. We got a conference, potentially out-of-conference game, Virginia, NC State. I can't remember.
That is out of conference.
There you go. And then there are Vandy, Virginia Tech, and Boston College, Michigan State, and Stanford, BYU. We might have our first rendition this season of ACC After Dark live recap. Might be having a watch along as Stanford plays a football game against BYU.
I was going to say they will be one of the teams on the field, but
they will have roughly 11 guys on the field for that game. We'll see. We'll see how that all goes. You want to come back and preview those games, Mike?
We will. Some interesting ones there. So
yeah, solid week 2 slate. Not a total letdown. So we'll see how that goes. Follow us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you find your podcasts. We'd appreciate that. Social medias. We're on Twitch now. Go find us there. What did we say it was? Producer Scott would be helpful.
I think the next time we go on Twitch will be the first time.
Yeah, Twitch. We're Basketball Conference on Twitch. All one word. Go find us there. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those good places. Basketball Conference Podcast at gmail.com is the email.
Yep. Nailed it.
Thank you. Mike, you want to come back and preview week 2?
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks to all the people who showed up in the chat with us. We had a great time visiting with you all tonight. Thank you for staying up late with us on a school night. We will we'll try to make it on less of a school night next time. We'll see how it goes.
Joey. Before we conclude, because I just saw this.
Yeah.
North Carolina is doing a television show on Hulu. I don't know if you saw this.
Oh, no, I did not see this. What is this?
So this was announced about a week ago. It's going to be like a Hard Knocks-esque show on Hulu. I know there was some talk about the actual Hard Knocks being at North Carolina. Well, there's going to be a Hulu version of it. And TCU's social media account just quote tweeted the announcement from North Carolina's football account and asked, when does episode 1 come out? Which is perfect.
Outstanding.
Yep.
Outstanding. Well done, TCU. On that note, Mike, our next episode comes out either, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday night. We'll see.
Yeah, soon.
We'll see you then.
Yep.
For Mr. Mike McDaniel, I'm Joey Weaver. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll talk to you again very, very soon. Until next time, go ACC.